Hi everyone, Gruntle here, and this is my guide to legendary and unique weapons in Borderlands the pre-sequel. This episode we're looking at the Blowfly, which is a legendary pistol manufactured by Dahl, and it drops from Egghood in the veins of Helios. So this pistol will always be corrosive damage, and basically what it has is split projectiles, so the first projectile comes out and splits into two, and then those projectiles orbit around each other as it flies through the air. So I'll try and demonstrate that here. I'll actually switch to the one with a slower projectile speed so you can see it easier. And if I shoot off one shot, you can see that it kind of wiggles back and forth. Although I don't know if you're going to be able to see that with the 30 FPS in the playback. But basically what happens is the bullets spin around each other as they go through the air. And then when they do hit the target, there is a splash area of effect kind of thing that happens. So you get damage from both the hit and the splash, which is quite good, and then it also has corrosive damage, of course. So if we have a closer up look at it here, you can see that it looks like a pistol, so that's a good thing. It's nothing too incredible on the skin front, but it looks kind of cool. Just basically a Dahl pistol. So yeah. And the name Blowfly and red text are just referring to, I believe, the way that the bullets come out of it, and it kind of looks like a blowfly. I guess it's also kind of referencing the Hornet from Borderlands 2, which is also a legendary Dahl pistol. The Hornet is a bee, blowfly is a fly. They're kind of related-ish, but it's basically this is the Hornet in the pre-sequel, but with an added cool feature of a split bullet. So yeah. What else is there to talk about? Parts, weapon parts, of course. So here we have the Dahl barrel, and it's always going to spawn with the Dahl barrel, and that is going to give increased accuracy, reduced recoil, increased recoil recovery, but reduced damage. But it's always going to spawn with that, so there's no point really talking about that because it's not going to change how you use the weapon. I have it here with a Dahl grip, and that is so that it reduces the recoil and gives recoil recovery, but it does reduce the damage also. So you could possibly put a tall grip on here to increase the damage or something like that, depending on how you want to use this. But I thought that it being a high burst fire count weapon, it would be pretty useful to have increased accuracy and reduced recoil. So yeah, the reduced recoil from that grip is quite nice. Lastly, the sight here is the Dahl sight, and that's just aesthetics. Of course, pistol sights don't change how the weapon performs, but the Dahl sight definitely goes with all the other Dahl parts way better than other ones. Also, we have the attachment here, of course, can't forget that. And that is the laser attachment that is going to give increased accuracy and increased bullet speed. I also thought that possibly the stability attachment, there's the word, the stability attachment could be useful. That is going to give reduced recoil and increased accuracy. And the thing with this is it doesn't give you the increased speed. But it does reduce the recoil, so it makes it a little easier to hit the target with all of the burst shots. I do prefer the bullet speed, I think, and it doesn't affect the splitting of the bullets, because the bullet split comes pretty early out of the barrel kind of thing. It's not going to mean that you only get one bullet hitting the enemy anyway, I think. Although I'm not 100% sure on that. If we have a look here compared to a purple version of the same parted Dahl pistol, you can see that the damage and accuracy are actually reduced compared to that, while the corrode chance is increased. And I believe that the damage and accuracy are reduced because the burst fire count is greatly increased. And I'll test that out now. So if I aim in down here and shoot with this, we get 31 to 24, so that's about 6 shots, 6 burst shots, that's the word, 6 or 7 burst shots, because I think there may have been a double shot in there from one of these skills. Extra shot, where's the extra shot? That one, that one. So there might be an extra shot in there somewhere, but this one here will shoot about 4 times. So yeah, you do get the increased burst fire, which is why you get a slightly decreased damage and the slightly worse accuracy, but that is made up for in the increased damage you're going to get from all of those extra shots coming off. And also, of course, the corrode chance is actually really reasonable. It is quite high for most weapons, 15.6%, so that's great. Now, characters that are going to be good with this weapon. I don't know that any characters have particularly any corrosive buffs, and there aren't many enemies, armoured enemies in the game, so I don't know if it's going to be particularly useful in a lot of situations. However, Claptastic Voyage DLC has a lot of armoured enemies, so maybe going through that, this would be a useful weapon to use. But character-wise, I think it's probably just an all-round weapon rather than a particular character weapon. Although with Nisha, being that it has a very high fire rate when you aim down sights because of the burst fire, that might actually be quite useful for the tombstone skill here, with the increased chance for critical hits, and also the second pallet that splits off might also be quite useful for critical hits. So we'll see that in a second when I jump to the gameplay in Overlook with Nisha and the Blowfly, so we'll jump to that. So here we are in Overlook with the Blowfly and Nisha, and on that first enemy it actually took him out reasonably quickly before Tombstone skill activated and I get the extra critical hits, and that's due to the aiming down sights giving the increased burst fire, so you get a bunch of shots off really quickly, and that's going to be the best way to use this weapon. You can do it without aiming down sights, you can shoot with it without aiming down sights, but you only get 1 shot per click, and it's only really useful for fast moving close objects or enemies. If you would like to read more about this weapon, by the way, I've left a link to the wiki page in the description. That's below the like button and above the comment section, so you can check that out. I reckon this is a pretty decent weapon, especially against armoured enemies, of course, as you'll be able to see now. And yeah, it's quite fun to use. I do like that increased burst fire. It is quite satisfying. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know. Otherwise, I will catch you guys next time, and thanks for watching.